everyone, thanks so much for joining me. In this video, we're going to cover the lunge, or thought of as the split squat. I'll show it with some variations, also the Bulgarian split squat, where your back leg is on a raised surface. I happen to have a bench. You could totally use a step for that. It just depends. I have dogs making out in the neighborhood making so much noise, so hopefully that does not come through too loudly. It's so funny to me. Anyway, so key things to remember: keeping those hip channels open, keeping the feet nice and feeling secure and open at the ankles, the knees, the hips, that flow coming all the way up. Also, most of my students are really surprised that in the lunge, you want more work in the back leg than in the front. So the back leg takes about 60%. Okay, that's totally just my estimate, okay? 60% of the work, and the front leg does 40, as far as in the split squat. When you start changing things up and stepping a foot forward or stepping a foot back, making it more of a moving lunge, then you really need that shared load and that buoyancy in the position. You just want to think, if you're just trying to kind of narrow it down to really simple instruction, think spacious and supported joints. Because if you feel overloaded anywhere, it's not a great position, and you need to back it up and then come back in and reaffirm. So we'll get started. So being that the idea of this is, in this kind of standing lunge, is a split squat, you still want to have that imagery, okay, of having a block between your thighs. We are not going to be able to maintain a block between the thighs because the legs are going to be separated. But to remember that what about that block is motivating. Okay, so it helps remind us to distribute that weight evenly across the feet. Helps us keep those hip channels clear and the spine lengthened. Because as soon as we take one leg back, 1 foot forward, then things can go off kilter at the hips, forward, back, all sorts of things can go just awry. So we want to imagine that even though, okay? So I'm going to be side view here so you can see this. So picking 1 foot to be in front, 1 foot to be back, you can always add weight to this. This happens, a lot of these moves I so think about in terms of yoga that it doesn't even occur to me to need to add weight to it, but you absolutely could. You could add all sorts of complexity. Just want to show the basic structure of things here. So 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. You could be near a wall, okay? But you want to keep the stance where how they start out, the feet start out at the beginning, where they're parallel like an 11, okay? To maintain that. You don't want to feel like you're going into on a tightrope. Okay, so many people start out too narrow. Also, very common where people will turn out that back foot, and that can compromise the hip joint. Okay, so you want to keep those parallel lines. And then the front foot, so I'm distributing the weight evenly across the heel, across the ball of the foot. Same thing here, even though the heel is lifted. I want to pretend that it's pressing into something, referencing, a wall, something that brings energy up. Okay, so little bend to the knees and rooting across the feet and just testing. Do I feel like I've got seamless energy coming up? And then deepening the bend. So you'll find, what's your right range of motion? What's your right pace? I like to get down and hold things and then reaffirm that my hip is not hiked up, closing off the channel, okay, at that back hip, right? So I want to feel more work in that back leg than in the front. They're both working, okay? But I want to feel not only thighs, glutes, I want to feel that I can lift up and lengthen the spine. So I love to do this thing where inhale, okay, reaching out, exhale, squeezing energy in toward the midline, growing taller. You can do that same thing with the hands back behind the head and just growing. So the back leg is what leads the movement, okay? And without any weight, I find this a lot of work, okay? And then to come out, I usually go, okay, bounce, and then step the foot forward. Okay, so critical things for me is this, okay, the hips being level, okay, hips not being thrust forward. So everything that we do needs to reaffirm excellent posture, neutral pelvis. So the Bulgarian split squat, the back foot is on a raised surface. Like I said, the bench is pretty high for this, so you want to make sure that if you're doing this, I mean, you could put it on like a Bosu ball. You could put it in like a TRX loop or whatever those things are. So you can always add challenge, but you want to make sure whatever challenge you're adding that it's not a punishment to your body, but a really effective strengthener, something that you feel that you're really feeling confident in, okay? And it's enhancing your strength and your posture and your life. Okay, so back foot's gonna be on this. I like to tuck the toes under because that simulates the lunge, okay, the back leg positioning of the lunge. Some people prefer it this way, fine. I get a little, I feel like I'm not as spacious and supported in my hip joints. So I want to be here for me, and then I find that, you know, that right spacing here, okay, hips still level and open, still more work, more intense, okay, in that back leg. One of the keys for me is if in that back leg I can engage my glute, then chances are, okay, I can engage my glute and it enhances the length in the spine. I know my hip channel is open. If I try to engage and all I feel is that it hardens the groin, I'm not gonna get length in the spine, okay? So little, okay, maybe bigger, okay? I wanna watch that this knee doesn't go beyond the toes, that I can keep lifting up out of the hips and lengthening. Just a ton of work. It's a ton of work. Okay, so we've got split squats or lunges, okay, Bulgarians, and then we also have where you can step forward, step back, okay? So however you do this, so I'll start with the stepping forward. The goal, and it's hard, is to try to land lightly, okay? So I already want to start out feeling kind of buoyant. Okay, so I'm lifting up out of the joints and pretending that I've still got a block between my thighs. And then, okay, so I'm already in this kind of the shape of the lunge, trying to land lightly. Okay, so you would be thinking about this in terms of walking lunges, okay? So if I were going to come forward, I would be pushing off, trying to root evenly, trying to lift up out of those hips, and then come up. If I From this perspective, just stepping back, I want to feel buoyant and light and step back, okay? And you can switch. You could do 30 seconds with one leg, 30 seconds with the other. So that's a forward lunge, okay? Then stepping back, same thing. Here I would have to tilt forward, okay? Shifting my weight. So I already create the shape of it. So for me here in yoga, I think about all the balance positions, you know, warrior three, airplane, all those things. And then again, I want to land lightly. So it's really, really deliberate. Okay? So spacious, supported joints. I'm telling you, it's a very effortful position, just not at the expense of anything else. Like I said, no position, no exercise. I think I'm not motivated by anything feeling like a punishment. Okay, so make sure that truly, like the thing that I love about working out and practicing yoga is that it just feels like it's elevating. Okay, I feel like this connection to something so awesome, right? When I'm working out, that's what keeps me coming back. Okay, so if that's not, you know, your description, find the things that are motivating, that make you feel good. So a really, really powerful position that hopefully enhances your posture. I hope you have a great day. Namaste.